We continue now at the top of Daf Lamed Chesam and Aleph in Meseches Gitin. This is Gittin Daf 38a. On the previous summit, the Gemara was discussing the Mishnah, which says, let's say you have an Eved Kanani that is taken captive, and then he's redeemed by a Jew. So the Mishnah made a distinction, and the Mishnah said, according to the Tanakama, if the person who redeemed the Eved Kanani was redeeming him to be an Eved, so then that Eved will be an Eved. And if the person redeeming that Eved Kanani was redeeming him that he should go free, so then he will be free. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel in the Mishnah disagreed and said that in all situations the Eved will continue to be an Eved. And we had two explanations of how to understand the Mishnah. Rava's explanation of the Mishnah was we're talking la'achar yush, meaning that first master, he's already given up hope. Once the Eved was taken captive, he doesn't ever think he will see that Eved again. And what the Mishnah is discussing is that the Jew who redeems the Eved from the captors, so that Jew can become the second master of the Eved. And the idea of the Mishnah is that if the Jew who's redeeming the Eved from the captors, if that Jew is doing it in order to make this Eved his own Eved, so then the Eved will become an Eved to that second master. And so the Gemara had asked, if that is the case, we're talking la'achar yish, but who does the second master acquire the Eved from? And the Gemara answered, he acquires the Eved from the captors, because the captors, they're able to acquire this Eved, and right now we're in the middle of bringing a statement of Reish Lakish that non-Jews are able to acquire non-Jews as avodim only in terms of their Maaseh Yadayim, in terms of their earnings. They don't own the actual guf of the Eved, but they do own the Maaseh Yadayim, and that's what this Jew who redeems the Eved, that's what he's able to acquire from the captors. And Reish Lakish's statement continues, V'lohem konim mikem, they're not able to acquire you, meaning non-Jews are not able to acquire Jews as slaves. V'lohem konim zemizen, they're not able to acquire one another. Yachol lo yiknu zeh, I might think they're not able to acquire one another. Now that seems to be a direct contradiction to the line before. The line before says they cannot acquire one another, and then it says I might think they can't acquire one another, and that's what the Gemara now clarifies. Yachol lo yiknu zeh, I might think that they can't acquire one another. You just said that they're not able to acquire one another, and that's the distinction that we made on the previous summit. This is what it means to say, they're not able to acquire one another, meaning a kinyan haguf, they can't own the body of the Eved. I might think they're not able to acquire the earnings of one another, meaning one non-Jew cannot acquire the earnings of another non-Jew. Amrit kal v'chomer, but on that we say the following kal v'chomer, Ovid kochavim kona Yisrael, if an Ovid kochavim can acquire the earnings of a Yisrael, Ovid kochavim lo kol shekain. Most certainly, in Ovid kochavim, a non-Jew can acquire another non-Jew for the non-Jew's earnings. And Rashi says, Lagufa, what does it mean? A kinyan aguf, she'et sarachem menu get. If you have a kinyan aguf, so then to go free, you're going to need a document, you're going to need a get shichror. Oim yivrach mimenu v'yiskayer, or let's say the person runs away, the Eved runs away and then converts, mutter b'bas Yisrael, he'd be mutter to marry a Bas Yisrael, she'in gufay konoi l'chaver, because his body was never acquired by his friend. Ovid kochavim kona Yisrael, and an Ovid kochavim is able to be kona Yisrael, l'maiseh yadav, as far as his earnings are concerned. But the Gemara continues, Ve'emahani mili bekaspa. But this idea that we're saying, maybe that's only true if the kinyan is made with money. Aval bechazaka lo, but who says that a kinyan chazaka would work? Meaning, in our Mishnah, we're talking about a situation where the Eved was taken captive. Who says you can make a kinyan through taking someone captive? Maybe the Ovid kochavim can only acquire an Ovid kochavim by giving kesef. Rashi says, Bechaspa dumya de Ovid kochavim kona Yisrael bekesef, because we know an Ovid kochavim is kona Yisrael through kesef. And so it should be similar to that case. Techsiv mikesef b'gnaso be'ivri hanimkor la'ovid kochavim. That's what says the word kesef over there. Uknias ovid kochavim ba'ovid kochavim, and the fact that an ovid kochavim can acquire another ovid kochavim, hayalaf le miknias ovid kochavim Yisrael. You learned it out from the fact that an ovid kochavim can acquire a Yisrael. So maybe that's only by kesef. But bechazaka, but if it's a kinyan chazaka, could go in shavoi. For example, if people capture this Eved, shehechzik bo v'kano becheskas yish keshefkiru rabo, that they took a chazaka, they took possession of this Eved, and they were kona through the chazaka of yish when the master gave up and made the Eved hefker keshenisyayish heimenu. So in that situation, how do you know that even in that situation it's also true? Chazaka shevet kanani nikna bohainu chazaka shel avdus. When we talk about a chazaka by Eved kanani, it's a chazaka of servitude. Hilbisho hinilo herchitzol rabo. He's doing things for the master. That's the work that an Eved normally does, which is a kinyan chazaka. Kedetanya b'isha niknas nehidi Yisrael kani granted that a Jew can acquire a non-Jew through a kinyan chazaka, because avodim are compared to karka, to land. But when it comes to an ovid kochavim acquiring land, so chazaka doesn't work in that situation like by Yisrael. The entire kinyan is with kesef. So again, maybe by chazaka this shouldn't work. Maybe with a kinyan chazaka rather, this should not work. The ovid kochavim is not able to acquire another ovid kochavim. And to that the Gemara says, Amar of Papa says, Ammon u'Moav, the land of Ammon and Moav, tiharo b'sichon, that was purified, so to speak, through Sichon, meaning we weren't supposed to take land from Ammon and Moav, but when Sichon came along and took that land from Ammon and Moav, so suddenly that land was land that the Jewish people were able to take. Rashi says, Ammon u'Moav tiharo b'sichon, alma ovid kochavim kona mechaver karka b'chazaka. The point here is, that's talking about land, and you see that was a kinyan chazaka. Sichon essentially fought a war, took over that land b'chazaka, and we see there is a kinyan chazaka. V'hayevinami came into Afkar Yisrael b'yush kona le'ovid kochavim b'chazaka. That's what the Gemara is saying by the Evid should apply as well. Tiharo b'sichon dechsiv al totzaris Moav v'chein b'vnei Ammon al tetzur, and we weren't supposed to start with against Moav and Ammon. Uchsiv ki cheshbon ir sichon al matiher Moav b'sichon uvnei Ammon. So you see again, that's what happened. Moav, as far as Moav is concerned, with Sichon uvnei Ammon eshkechan b'yiftach she'amru lo malache b'nei Ammon ki logach Yisrael es arzi ba'alosom mitzrayim me'arnon ve'ad hayabok ve'eshkechan kishekavshu es eretz Sichon v'yirish es arzo me'arnon ad yabok. You see the same thing is true not only Moav but also Ammon. Alma mibnei Ammon kavsha v'hadar Yisrael v'kavshu minei. So you see again, Sichon took the land from Ammon, and then Klal Yisrael was able to take it from him. V'tiyat v'taro lahem al yado al makanya b'chazaka. He made it pure, so to speak, meaning he made it available to them. Through Sichon, it was now available to Klal Yisrael. In any case, you see a kinyan chazaka, and we can apply that by avodim as well. And the Gemara continues, Eshkechon ovid kochavim. So we find that an ovid kochavim can acquire another ovid kochavim through kinyan chazaka. Ovid kochavim Yisrael minol. And how do we know that an ovid kochavim can acquire a Jew through kinyan chazaka? And that the Gemara says, Dechsiv vayish mimenu shevi. It talks about the fact that they took captives, and that shows that kinyan chazaka works even in that situation. And Rashi says, Ovid kochavim Yisrael minol and kagon eved zed the shaykh mitzvahs. This eved over here who's being captured, he's already shaykh in mitzvahs. You have to prove that chazaka can work over there as well. And the pasuk says, "Vayish b'mimenu shavi midakari le'shavi didei shmami nakanya b'chazaka." From the fact that it's his captive, so that shows there was a kinyan chazaka. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Shemin bar Abba, Amar Rav Yochanan. Rav Shemin bar Abba says that Rav Yochanan says, "Eved shebarach mibesu asurim." Let's say an Eved is taken captive and he runs away from his imprisonment. Yotza lecheres, he now goes free. V'lo, not only that, he forced his master to write him a document that will set him free. And Rashi says, Minhu Asur and Eved Kanani Shal Yisrael Shenishba Ubarach Min Isurin Shalov De Kochavim. You have this Eved Kanani of a Jew. He's captured. And then he flees from his imprisonment to Yotzel Lecheros Milishtabed L'Rabaod. He's now no longer going to be a slave to his master. He is now free. And even furthermore, V'chosiv Lo Ged L'Hatiro B'Bas Yisrael. He has to write a document. The Jewish owner writes a document to free him, so that now he can marry a Bas Yisrael. That's the statement of Rabbi Yochanan. And so the Gemara now brings our Mishnah. Tanan, we learned in our Mishnah, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, Omer ben kach uvein kach yishtabed. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel talking about an Eved who is taken captive and then is redeemed. So in that case where he's redeemed, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says it doesn't matter why he's redeemed. If he's redeemed to be an Eved, or if he's redeemed for the purpose of being free, in all situations, he's going to be an Eved. V'yamar Rabba bar bar Chana Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabba bar bar Chana said that Rabbi Yochanan said, Kol mokom sheshana Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel b'Mishnah Seinu. Anytime Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel is taught, is brought down in our Mishnah, halacha kamosa, the halacha is like him, except for three cases. Chutz me'erev v'tzidon v'raya achron, except for these three cases. But otherwise, Rabbi Yochanan says the halacha is always like Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, and this seems to be an identical case. This seems to be a case where he's taken captive and then he goes free. In this case of the Mishnah, he doesn't run away. It's not an Eved Shebarach, but he's redeemed. But Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says he remains an Eved, and Rabbi Yochanan says the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Yet Rabbi Yochanan also said that if the Eved Eved runs away, then he goes free. That seems to be not like Rav Shimon ben Gamliel. And the Gemara now continues, B'shlama la'Abaye. Now I can answer this question according to Abaye's understanding of our Mishnah. As we mentioned, there's a machlokas amoraim how to understand our Mishnah. Now Abaye says, Muki lo lahai lifnei yush. Abaye says that the entire Mishnah is talking about where the original master did not give up hope. And so really he should continue to be an Eved by the original master. So then you could say that the Mishnah is talking about lifnei yush, and that's why he continues to be an Eved. V'hai lachar yush, and in this case, where the Eved ran away, we're talking about after Yish, the master already gave up hope, then the Eved runs away. So in that case, he goes free, and that can be an answer to the contradiction within Abaye's understanding of the Mishnah. Ela l'Rava d'amar la'achar Yish kasha de Rabbi Yochanan ad Rabbi Yochanan. But according to Rava, who understands that our Mishnah is talking even la'achar Yish, even after the master gave up hope, still we say that in the Mishnah's case, according to Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, in all scenarios, the Eved continues to be an Eved when he is redeemed. So why is it any different when the Eved runs away? And the Gemara answers, Amar lach Rava, Rava will respond to you, time in my mishum dechizkia. The entire reason why Rav Shimon ben Gamliel says he remains an Eved la'achar Yish, because again, la'achar Yish, really he should not be an Eved. So why is it that we say that he remains an Eved? The reason why he remains an Eved is because if we would say that this Eved could actually potentially go free after he's redeemed. Let's say the redemption is done in order that he be a free man, and we would actually say he goes free. So then what an Eved is going to do, he'll purposely get captured by the non-Jewish soldiers. He'll purposely put himself in a situation of captivity. That's what Rav Shimon ben Gamliel was worried about, and that's why he remains an Eved when he's redeemed. But Boreach Shani, but that logic doesn't apply by an Eved that's running away from the imprisonment. A situation where he's running away is different. Why is it different? Because Hashta L'Ktola Masar Nafshe, this Eved is willing to risk his life and run away. If he's caught, he's going to be killed. So this kind of Eved, Apule Apel Nafshe L'Gaisos, do you think that such an Eved is gonna purposely get himself captured by the non-Jewish soldiers? That would never happen with this Eved. This Eved is obviously the kind of Eved who doesn't want to be imprisoned and would never do this. And therefore, in this particular situation where he runs away and the logic of Chizkiah does not apply, so in this case, actually, he would go free. And the Gemara continues, Amse de Mar Shmuel Ishtaboy, the maidservant of Mar Shmuel was captured, Pirkua L'Shum Amosa, so they redeemed her on the understanding that she would continue to be a maidservant after she was redeemed. V'shadru, and they sent her to Shmuel that she should continue to be his servant. Shalchule, they sent to him the following message. They sent Shmuel the following message. Anon Rav Shimon ben Gamliel Svirlan. We hold like Rav Shimon ben Gamliel. It doesn't matter why we redeemed her. She's going to continue to be a maidservant. But you inami k'Rabbanan Svirlach. Even if you hold like the Rabbanan, but still she should be your maidservant. Anon l'shum amasa parkinan la nihila. We redeemed her in order that she should continue to be a maidservant, and therefore she should continue to be your maidservant. V'inu savar lifnei Yoshavin. Now, when they made this whole argument, they thought this all occurred before he had given up hope, that Shmuel had not given up hope, and that's why their understanding was that she should continue to be his maidservant, Veloi, but it's not really true. La'achar Yoshavin. This entire incident happened after he had already given up hope, and therefore she no longer had to continue to be his maidservant. Ushmuel, and according to Shmuel, lomi boyd ishtabude lo mishtabed, but not only did he not continue to enslave her, elagita de cherusa nami lo atzracha, but he did not even require her to get a shtar shichur, to have a document that sets her free. She automatically was free because Shmuel follows his opinion. Damar Shmuel, because Shmuel says, hamafkir avdo yatsa lecherus. If somebody is mafkir his eved, makes his eved ownerless, similar to this case of Yush, then that eved goes free. Ve'enot sarach get shichur, and there's no need for that eved to have a get shichur, to have a document to set him or her free. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, v'chol eved ish meknas kesef, eved ish v'lo eved isha. It says eved ish. Doesn't mean an eved ish and not an eved isha, a slave of a man and not a woman. What it really means is as follows. The pasuk means to say, ela eved sheyesh lo reshus l'rabo olav koroi eved. An eved, if the master has reshus over that eved, that's called an eved. She'ein lo reshus l'rabo olav, but if the master has no reshus over that eved, ein koroi eved. That's not called an eved. That eved is automatically free. And the Gemara continues, Amsed Rabbi Yava bar Zutra Eshtaboy, the maidservant of Rabbi Yava bar Zutra was captured. Porka hu Tarmuda, a certain non-Jew from Talmud, redeemed her l'shom mitasa in order that she should be his wife. Shalchu leila didei, so they sent a message to Rabbi Yava as follows: Iyos avadet, if you want to do the right thing, shadar lo gita de cherusa, you should send her a document which sets her free. And the Gemara now clarifies, Hey Chidami, what exactly was the situation? Idimatsu parkila, if they were able to redeem her from this non-Jew, so lamali gita decherusa, what's the point of giving her a document that sets her free? Just redeem her. And idilomatsu parkila, and if they're not able to redeem her, kishadar la gita decherusa might have. If they send her a document that sets her free, what does that even help? She's still being held by this non-Jew. And the Gemara answers, Liolam dematsu parkila. The case over here really is they were able to redeem her from the non-Jew. And so what's the point of sending a document, or what's the point of letting her free through this document? But since he sends her a document which sets her free, so then the people of the community will join together. They'll be more motivated to free her if she's going to be a free woman, uparkila, and then they'll redeem her. That was a way of motivating everyone to redeem her. If you want, I could say another answer, Liolam delomatzi parkila. Could be the opposite. They really weren't able to redeem her from the non-Jew. But once he sends her a document to Cherusa which sets her free, mitzvah labiape, so then she becomes lowly in the eyes of the Gentile. Now he sees that she's like a servant. He won't want her anymore. And then he's going to allow her to be redeemed, and then he's going to allow her to go free. And that's why it was important to send a Gita de Cherusa, this document that would set her free. But the Gemara says, is that really true? But didn't the master say, it's more beloved to them, to the non-Jews, the animals of the Jews, and even more than their own wives, meaning it's not true. Even if she was a slave of a Jew, still she would have been considered in very high esteem by the non-Jew. So why is it necessary to send a Gita to Cherusa, to send this document that sets her free, in order that now he realizes she's a slave and she'll be lower in his eyes? She's not going to be low in his eyes. Even the animals of the Jews are held in high esteem. And the Gemara answers to that, when we say they're held in high esteem, the Behemton Shal Yisrael are held in high esteem by the non-Jews, that's if everything's happening privately. But if it's publicly, if now it's known publicly that this was a slave of the Jews, Zila Behumilsa, that they're going to consider to be lowly, and then again, he will allow her to go free. And the Gemara continues, Hayamsa Dahavas Pumbedisa, there was a maidservant in Pumbedisa, Dahavakama Avdiba in Shisur, and men, they were performing acts of Isser with her. There was nus going on with this maidservant. Amar Abaya said, Ilav Damar of Yehuda Mar Shmuel Kal Meshachar Avdo over Be'aseh. If not for the fact that Rav Yehuda said that Shmuel said anyone who frees his Eved transgresses a positive commandment, Have a kaifna leilamara v'chasav lagita de Cherusa. I would force the master to write a document to free this woman so that she could marry a Jew and she'd no longer be involved in these prohibited sexual acts. Rashi over here says, Be'aseh, what is the violation of the Aseh? According to Rav Yehuda Mar Shmuel, Li'olam Behem Ta'avodu. The pasuk says Li'olam Behem Ta'avodu. They have to be slaves forever, and therefore it's a violation of that pasuk if you set them free. And that's why Abaye said, if not for that fact, I would say to set this maidservant free. Ravina says, Kiha, in a situation like this, where there are Isurim, there are prohibitions that are being violated, Moder Rav Yehuda would actually admit that it's fine to set her free, Misham Milsa D'Isur, in order to avoid this kind of Isur. And the Gemara says, V'Abaya mishum Yisur alone. Now Abaya, he holds that if you have an Isur situation, that's not a reason why you're allowed to set her free. Ha'amar Rav Chanina bar Rav Katina, Amar Rav Yitzchak. But didn't Rav Chanina bar Rav Katina say that Rav Yitzchak said, Ma'isa b'isha achas, there was an incident with a particular woman, Shechetzi Shivcha, V'chetzi Baschor, and she was half maidservant, and she was half free, meaning she had two owners, and one of them set her free, so she ended up being a half maidservant, and she was half free, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Lamed Ches Amud Beis.